Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video I'm going to be filming my race recap for the Burghley 7 race. So it has just gone this past Sunday, so I have already done a race vlog, so if you want to check that out I'll leave it up in a card there, but this is going to be sort of my overall recap for the race itself and how it went. As always with my sort of like training diaries and things like that, I'll leave a screenshot here of my Strava segment, whatever you want to call it, here, so you can see it, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm basically going to recap how the race went and how I felt and things like that. I will go into my times and my paces. I have mentioned many times on my channel before, but I am not massively into times. I don't really care whether I get PBs and things like that. I run for the enjoyment and the medal and things like that, so time isn't really that important to me, but I will go into it because I know some people like to sort of see and compare with things like that, so I will go into it. And then at the end of the video I'm going to talk about my plans going forward, if I have any more races planned and things like that, and just generally what my training is going to look like over the next coming weeks. So Burghley 7 was this past Sunday. If you have watched my race vlog then you will know that I had a little cock up in forgetting my watch on race day. I have never ever in any of the races that I've done forgotten my watch, and this just happened to be one of those times. So I did record my race on Strava, which I think is pretty accurate, so I don't really have any issues with showing you what Strava recorded. So I'll leave the screenshot of the Strava race here. So as I have mentioned, Burghley 7 is a 7-mile race, so I did a 7-mile distance in an average pace of 13:18 and my elapsed time was 1:33:20. I personally think it went a lot better than I expected. I expected to come in slower than what I did. I will switch to a splits section so you can see that, but basically I've always said at the beginning of races that I need to sort of pace myself and not run with the crowd, and I did think that I was going quite well. I didn't think I was going with the crowd. I was letting people pass me. I wasn't trying to keep up with anyone or anything like that. But surprisingly, when I looked at my stats after my race, that absolutely wasn't the case. I did feel my sort of legs, like my calves and my shins burning, only like a mile into the race, which unsettled me for sure right at the beginning, because I thought I don't really want to walk in like the first half of the race, like the first 3 miles, because I know that I'm able to do 3 miles or 5k without stopping, so I wanted that to be my sort of first aim. And to have my legs burning and things like that just a mile in was a bit sort of like, oh crap, am I actually going to be able to do this? Luckily I was alright and I'd managed to sort of slow down enough to recoup my legs a bit. I was dying for a drink at the 2-mile point. I was very glad that they had a water stop quite early on in the race. But yeah, I do feel like I paced myself quite well. I had said that I wanted to walk the hills. I had forgotten how many inclines there were during the race, and quite a lot of the race as well is like in just lanes with like no coverage, like no houses, things like that, no buildings. It's all like fields and countryside. So there was a lot of like wind that came at you a lot of the time, and like I said, there was quite a lot of inclines during the race as well. I will show, if I can, the sort of elevation profile in another little bit here, but yeah, there was quite a few hills. There was obviously the downhill bit as you come out of, I think it's Bottles Lodge, out of Burghley Park and down onto the high street. That's sort of like a slight like decline going there, and then you come through Waters, I think it's Waters Lane, and you're on a slight incline back into Burghley. Burghley House was quite flat, so that was the time for me to be able to recoup my legs. Where my legs were burning, I just kind of slowed down. And then obviously you come out of Burghley House on the other end, that's just past 2 miles, and then it's just straight open roads basically, and you're on the sort of up to Pillsgate, and I think it levels out ish at Pillsgate. There are like a few inclines, but I had said that any sort of hills that I came across I would walk to sort of give me that time to recover. Did manage to get to about the 3 mile mark. I think it might have been just before, because that's the point where we hit the hill. But I walked all the hills and that was fine, and then after about the 5k mark I started to flag a little bit. I don't know whether that was because I went out too fast right at the beginning, but yeah, I just decided to sort of adopt the run walk method after that. I had said in a previous video in the lead up to the race that I was a bit worried about whether that I was going to be like back of the pack and that there wouldn't be many people around. That wasn't the case at all. There was plenty of people around and plenty of people walking, so I didn't feel bad for stopping and walking either. There was plenty of people doing like a run walk method, so they would like run for a period of time and then they'd start walking. So I didn't feel like the odd one out at the back of the pack doing that, so that was fine. But overall I felt quite good during the race. Towards like the 6 mile mark I noticed that my legs started to flag, but just as you go past the 6 mile mark there's a sort of like quite a big downhill part on the way back to I think it's Lionsgate Bridge. If I've got anything wrong that I'm calling different I will let you know, but there is a decline on the way down to Lionsgate Bridge, and that sort of allowed me to sort of recover and get to the end. There was a couple of people at the sort of finish chute that were cheering my name and were sort of egging me on to go a bit faster to get to the finish line, which I did. But yeah, overall I am happy with how the race went, and yeah, given my I would guess my fitness levels compared to the last time that I did the race, I am quite pleased with how I did. So yeah, as you will see in this screenshot, I'll put up these splits again, but I did my first mile in 11:40, so obviously I went off way too quick at the start. I always seem to do that, regardless of whether I think that I'm going slower. I'm always sort of dragged along a bit. But at the time I did not think that I was being dragged along. I didn't think that I was going very fast at all. I was letting people pass, and in the back of my mind I was like, if I let too many people pass I'm going to be right at the back. But I just had to sort of go with it, if you will. I wasn't sort of letting people drag me along, but I was just like letting my legs run at the speed that they were running at. So yeah, first mile in 11:40, which was way quicker, and it's actually one of the quicker miles that I've done in a very, very long time. Usually my average sort of mile at the moment has been around 13 and a half. So to do an 11 and a half, that's like, you know, 12, 13, that's 2 minutes faster a mile compared to what I've normally been running. But I have said in some previous videos that I have seen some quicker times recently. I don't know what's resulting in that, but yeah. And then going into mile 2, I did my second mile in 12:43, so I did manage to sort of rein it back a bit so that I didn't burn myself out completely for the whole rest of the race. Then mile 3 was almost a minute slower than mile 2, so I was starting to gradually get slower. Mile 4 I did that in 14:07. I don't know whether there was some hills there or something like that that might have slowed that pace down, or whether that's just when I was starting to do the run walk method. I'd managed to pick my pace up very slightly for mile 5, then back to 14:07 for mile 6, and then I did 13:09, which is to be expected with me having like a downhill portion back to the finish line. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I was expecting for the race, based off the long runs and things like that that I'd done prior to doing the race, that I would probably average out around 13 and a half, which Strava says that I did an average of 13:18, so it was pretty bang on for that. So yeah, I am really happy with how I performed in the race. I got the medal, which is all that I could really ask for. So this is the medal here. I think it's quite a nice medal actually. It's one of my nicer medals that I have, and it will give me an excuse to sort of put my medal holder back up on the wall, because it's been sat in a cupboard since we moved in and we haven't really put medal holders up yet, so I think at some point I will do that. But yeah, it was a really good race. I really enjoyed the route. I did really enjoy the route last time as well. It's one of my favourites, and obviously because it's local and we have Burghley House just down the road from us, it was really nice to sort of see the like private lands of Burghley that you don't necessarily get access to on a day-to-day basis. Some parts of the Burghley House grounds aren't open to the public, so it's sort of a privilege when you do the race to be able to see like the back ends of it, if you will. So yeah, that was sort of it for my race. I'm glad that I did it and I didn't pull out like I was thinking I would the previous week. And yeah, just a really good race, and I am looking forward to doing it next year and hopefully improving on my time and my fitness and things like that coming into next year. So that is pretty much it for the race recap. I probably could have added it onto the end of my race vlog, but according to my camera I've rambled for 11 minutes, so yeah. We'll move on to the portion where I talk about what is for the future of my running. I don't know whether I've mentioned in my videos before, but Philip got a Ballot place into London Marathon, and he didn't run it last year because he was injured last year, but he deferred and is running it this year. His mother also has a Ballot place that she had from I think 2 years ago. The first year, obviously, COVID was around, so the race, I don't think the race happened. It was all virtual that year. So she deferred and then got injured, and it just so happens that her and Philip are now running London Marathon on the same year. Unfortunately, as many will have had the same sort of thing, I got a rejection email from London Marathon this year, so I didn't think that I would be as upset as I was, because I'm not a fan of long distance running, but London Marathon has been on my bucket list for, well, at least since when I started running, which was over 13 years ago now, and even before then, like as a child watching London Marathon on TV, it was always sort of a bucket list item that I wanted to do. I have no real desire to run a marathon at all, but London is on my bucket list as a runner to be able to do it. So I have entered every year, and it's been rejections for the last 10 years, including this year. So yeah, I did have a bit of a wobble earlier this week when I found out I didn't get in. But I am trying to get a charity place. I have applied for 3 charities, I think. I think 2 of the ones that I've applied for are potentially on the waiting list. I haven't heard anything back at all since I applied, so I'm not really sure how long you're supposed to wait to find out and things like that. I always said that I never wanted to apply for a charity place, and if I was going to race for charity it would be off my own Ballot place. But just because Philip and his mum are running this year, and I sort of want to get it out of the way before I sort of lose the want to do it, because obviously I'm not particularly into long distance running anyway, so I just want to get it out of the way sooner rather than later. So I am holding out and keeping my fingers crossed, and I hope that you will keep your fingers crossed as well, that I potentially get one of those 3 places. I'll just have to sort of keep an eye out for that, but that does mean that in the meantime I want to keep up my long distance running, because if for whatever reason a couple of weeks down the line a charity does get in contact, I want to sort of at least have some sort of base. I don't want to just go back to running 5Ks all the time. I'm not really doing anything longer than that. I do want to keep it up. And if London doesn't happen this year, I do at least want to maybe do a half marathon instead. I think I'm going to be roped into doing some form of marathon training with Philip. because I'm going to have to sort of be his support for his training runs and things like that. So I do think I'm going to have some long runs in there anyway. So it does make sense to at least book in for like a half marathon if I don't get a London Marathon spot. If anyone has done London Marathon with the charity, do let me know like what the time frame is for finding out whether you have a charity spot. I understand that I am a bit late to the game as well, because I think all of the charity places opened up when the Ballot opened, because obviously the charities will already know whether they've got spots or not. So I do think I'm quite late to the game, but yeah, I'll just have to see. The charities are things that are personal to me, so I'm hoping that that sort of gives me an edge, but just have to wait and see. If I'm on a waiting list, then that's all sort of dependent on whether someone else drops out and I get that spot, but we'll have to see. So I will keep you updated on that as to whether I get a spot or not. I am going to have a look to see whether there's any other charities that might gauge my interest, because I don't want to just apply for anything and raise money just for the sake of, or like entering a charity spot just for the sake of having a London Marathon spot. I do want to raise money for a charity that I care about, or that I've personally been affected by, either directly or indirectly at some point in my life. So I do think that that will help with like fundraising and things like that if it's more personal to me, because I'll have a bit more motivation to raise money, whereas if I was just to go out there and just try and raise money for anything, I won't have that oomph, if you will. So yeah, that's the plan going forward, is to sort of keep my regular running schedule. I'll try and at least do 3 runs a week. I am going to start doing parkrun as of this week, so we plan on going to Rutland Water Parkrun, which is our local one. So we're going to be doing that every week, and that will be the opportunity for me to sort of improve on my time, because obviously if you're not familiar with parkruns, you go to a free weekly timed run that is organised by volunteers, and you have a little barcode that you run round with, and then at the end they scan your barcode and they tell you your time. So it's an opportunity for me to sort of try and improve on that over weeks, months, whatever. So I have missed parkrun quite a bit. I haven't done it since before COVID, which is a little sad, and the fact that I haven't picked it up since parkrun started again is a little disappointing, but I am starting now. So yeah, I'm going to be starting parkrun. I'm going to be trying to get in at least 3 runs a week, and to keep my long runs in there and build some sort of a base, irregardless of whether I've got a place or not. So we'll just have to see how things go. Like I said, keep your fingers crossed that I get a London Marathon spot. It would be very convenient if I got a spot this year, just because we've already got the hotel for Philip and his mum, so it would make sense for all of us to do it that year, and then I will never apply for London Marathon again. I know people say that once you've done a marathon once, you'll want to do another one, but I just don't think that's going to be the case for me. I just want to do the one. Let me have London Marathon, and then I will never apply. I will never take another Ballot spot. So yeah, just let me have it, please. So yeah, like I said, I'll keep you updated on that, but I have rambled on for way too long now, so I'm going to end the video here. I will still be doing my regular training updates on a Monday. I'm not sure of the format. It might just be me having like a run vlog at the start, and then me just talking about the runs that I've done that week. I think that will be sort of the plan going forward until I have a structured plan sorted out. But obviously you will find out that in my training updates. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can always click the notification bell down below and be notified of when my videos go live. Other than that, I hope you're all staying safe and well. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye.